I'm going to talk to you this morning about infield play. You'll get your time on the field here with your coaches. You break for lunch, tour of the stadium. Don't ask me who, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to have a player come talk to you this afternoon and ask him questions for 15, 20 minutes. So I think you're going to have a nice day. When we start talking about infield play, the first thing I want you to remember, or for you to get in your heads, is that baseball is a very simple game. Things I'm going to talk to you about this morning, whether you believe me or not, are the very same things we talk to guys up here in the major leagues about. Have the advantage at a very early age to be able to come to camps and to learn some things that I personally didn't learn until later and when I went away to play professionally. So I'm sure your coaches as well as myself, I know, didn't have the benefit of going to camps. So try to get something out of the day. Try to get something out of the week. As far as infield play is concerned, the biggest problem we have up here in the major leagues is exactly what you're sitting on right now, AstroTurf. You get up here, you're going to see later when you get out here and you go through your drills, that ball takes that nice bounce all the time. You don't get that bad hop. You don't get that ball going by your ear like you do on your fields and so on. So because of the fact that the guys up here are pretty good infielders to start with, plus they're playing on a very nice surface that doesn't give them any bad bounces, the problem we have is that they get a little bit lazy in that, what we call the fundamentals of fielding. And for instance, we just came back from the West Coast and we had played on AstroTurf prior to going to the West Coast. So what we have to do, even though guys are in the major leagues, is we take them out every day in San Francisco, San Diego, and Los Angeles, and we take them out early, take ground balls again on grass and dirt fields, just like you play. Because they have a tendency to get away from doing the things that got them to the major leagues. So regardless of how far you get in this game, you're going to have to continue to practice the right kind of habits. And when we see a guy up here that's struggling catching ground balls, the very first thing that we check for is whether he's catching the ball out in front of him, out here. I want you to be honest with me. I want you to give me a show of hands. How many of you one time or another had a ground ball go through your legs? Everybody. Coaches. Dad would lie to me at home. Dad, everything. It's happened to all of them. But there's a reason for that. And the reason is when you catch the ball out here the proper way, out in front of you, you see it into your glove all the way. What happens to a lot of you, instead of wanting to catch the ball out here where you can see it into your glove, you want to catch the ball back underneath you. Back here. So what happens is that last couple of feet that ball travels, you don't see it. You don't know where it is. You're actually guessing where it is back underneath you. You see it out here. Catch it into your glove out in front of you. You see it. You start trying to catch it back here, you don't know where the ball is. So that's the number one reason. The other reason is you're not going to be a good fielder if you're a lazy fielder. You need to use your legs in order to be a good fielder. It's nothing I have to think about. It automatically happens. When I catch a ball out in front of me, see my legs, I automatically use my legs. When I start trying to catch a ball back underneath me, what happens is my legs straighten out, they stiffen up, and I end up just bending at the waist. Out here, I see it in my glove. Out here, it makes me use my legs. And the third thing, out here, it gets me off my heels. throw the ball to first base. While I'm doing that, that guy hit that ground ball is eating up ground going down the line. So, as simple as it sounds, first thing I said to you, it's the same things we talk to guys in the big leagues about. Out here. Out here. Now the other thing that you want to do is what we call your base of fielding. When I talk about your base of fielding, I'm just simply talking about how far apart your legs are when you go to catch a ground ball. Many of you want to catch a ground ball with your feet close together. Well, the only thing that can happen when you do that is to bend over, is to catch the ball underneath. Don't be afraid to spread your legs out, to get down with the ground ball. You spread your legs out, you get a little wider base here. Now you can catch the baseball out in front of you. But too many of you want to try to catch a ball like this, rather than like this. Out in front, spread your legs a little bit. That'll keep you catching the ball back underneath it. Alright, you catch a ball. Catch a ball, what's the next thing we got to do? We got to throw the ball. Now I have a son that's 13 myself. So naturally, I get to go to Little League games the last few years, Babe Ruth games, as well as go to big league games. Alright? The biggest thing I see in kids is once they catch a ball, and let's say that I'm going to throw, maybe we can turn it around. Let's say I'm going to throw the ball to first base. The biggest problem I see with kids throwing the ball to first base is when they catch the ball, their chest is facing first base, or the target they're going to throw to. They're throwing home, their chest is facing the target they're going to throw to. How many times have you had your coach or dad say, will you quit throwing the ball sidearm? Will you throw the ball overhand? You get tired of hearing it, don't you? My son gets tired of hearing it. But the reason is because when your chest faces the target you're going to throw to, that's the only position you can throw the ball from, is out here. You can't get up here to throw the ball overhand. You come here and you go like this, the only thing that can happen is to throw the ball sidearm. What we want you to do, instead of your chest facing the target you're throwing to, we want this shoulder. We want this shoulder, just like you're looking down the barrel of your water gun or your BB gun or whatever the case. You catch the ball, we want this shoulder pointed to the target we're throwing to. Not this, but this. You just think about this. Left shoulder now, if you're a left-handed thrower, naturally, it's this shoulder. But watch the difference. Instead of catching the ball, and now my chest is facing first base, and my arm is in this position. What happens is, when I catch the ball, and I point this at what I'm throwing to, now see where my arm goes? Now we can get dad off our back, our coach off our back, because we can throw the ball overhand. It's what we call staying on top. Right up here on top. Alright? So think about that. Think about that when you play catch. When you play catch, turn the shoulder in and use this shoulder to aim at who you're throwing to. And then the rest of it will take care of itself. Now I see we got some older guys. Any of you that are a little bit older, could you tell me or show me what I'm talking about when I say gripping the ball cross seam? Did anybody? Show. Good. Show the group. Show the group. See how he's gripping the baseball? See where his fingers are? They're across the seams. These two fingers are across the seams on the baseball where they're the widest. Now there's 4 areas on the ball where the seams are the widest, where they're the furthest apart. 1, if you just kept turning the baseball. 2, 3, 4. Any of those 4 areas. Are they the widest here? If we put our fingers across the seams there, they're not the widest. Now, you probably this week, do you have Menke coming out to talk to you guys this week?
Yesterday.
He came yesterday, that's better yet. Did Dennis Menke yesterday talk to you about hitting down on the baseball when he talked about hitting? He did. But do you know why? Because when you hit down on the baseball, like this, it comes off your bat, like this, and gives you this kind of rotation. So it does a couple things for you. Number 1, it gives you a better chance to hit a line drive. And number 2, gives your ball what we call carry. The ball's going to go further. It's the same exact thing with this kind of grip on the baseball. If you grip the ball properly, it comes out of your hand with this kind of rotation. The same kind of rotation we talk about when we say hit down on the baseball. It comes out of your hand like this. Nothing you have to think about. Once again, it automatically happens. But it does 2 things for you. Your ball straightens out. You know how many times you throw that ball to first base? It kind of sinks into the ground or sails up the line. It'll straighten your ball out. Number 2, it'll give you a ball, what we call carry. You're going to be able to throw the ball forward. So, whether you're an infielder, whether you're an outfielder, whether you're a catcher, or how many times you hear them on television say that pitcher threw a cross-seam fastball. This is the grip you're going to have to learn. Whether you stop at Little League, you go on to Babe Ruth League, high school ball, college ball, maybe someday fortunate enough to play professional. Whatever the case, you're going to have to learn how to grip the baseball. And this is how we grip it. But it's very easy for me to stand here, and tell you to grip the ball like this and throw it. But how do we learn? How do we learn? When I learned it, I was 18 years old, went away to play professionally for the first time, and my coach is saying to me, "Are you gripping the ball cross seam?" I didn't know what he was talking about. So he explained to me just as I explained to you. The way I learned it was on the side, playing catch. I'd catch the ball, and I'd actually look into my glove and put my fingers on the ball the proper way and throw it. A week's time, I got in there and got the grip a little bit quicker. Another week's time, quicker yet. And as time went on, it's the only grip I could use. It's the only grip anybody in here that you see playing in the big leagues uses. Now I want you to just flip this ball up to me. I'm not gonna look at this baseball, but I'll grip it. Just flip it up. But I'll grip it the proper way. I'll grip it the proper way without looking at it. Cross seam. Now that doesn't make me better than you. It's just that I practice this, as everyone has, and it becomes such a habit that you couldn't think of throwing a baseball any other way. So if there's one thing you take away from camp today that you can learn, that you're capable of remembering, it's how to grip the baseball. But you have to put a little effort into it, and you have to work at it a little bit. Don't worry about it, you'll be up there later. They'd rather be down here, trust me. Playing on the field, they'd rather be down here. All right. Now, as I say, the one thing I'd like you to take away or remember today is how to grip the ball. The other area that we seem to have problems with at your age is the pop-up as an infielder or the fly ball as an outfielder. It's right over our head or a little bit back. How many times when we're playing the infield, we get a little pop-up over our head a little bit behind us? How many times we have this happen? We go. A lot of times we miss it. Second, a lot of times we end up going down. The reason for that is when that ball's hit over your head or a little bit behind you, we don't want you to go straight back. We don't want you to backpedal. That ball's hit over your head or a little bit behind you, you have to go backwards. We want you to turn one side, or we want you to turn the other side. We want you to stay sideways. Instead of going straight backwards, we want you to turn sideways. Then you turn and catch the baseball. Now I'll do it the wrong way first. Then I'll do it the right way. You see if you can give me a couple reasons why turning sideways would be better. Instead of going straight backwards, I want to go sideways. Did anybody give me one reason? The guy right there in the front. It's faster. That's one of the two reasons I'm looking at. If it's faster, it means what? I'm going to cover more what? More area, more ground. Right. Get a better look at what? Balance. Those are the two reasons. Number one, I keep my balance. I don't lose my feet. And number two, I get further back. So it only makes sense. That ball's hit over our head, a little bit behind us. I want to go this way. Now how do we do that? How do we make our very first step? Have you heard of the drop step? Has anybody ever talked to you about the drop step? Has anybody ever talked to you about the crossover step? Okay, get a few hands on the crossover step. There's two kinds of steps in fielding. What we call the drop step, what we call a crossover step. For me, to get that ball over my head or behind me, I have to drop back to get it. I have to go backwards. So to get me sideways, my first step, that ball's over my left shoulder, like I just showed you, I'm gonna just drop back, this left foot, and keep going. It's over my right shoulder. I'm gonna drop back with my right foot. But that's what turns me sideways. All right? Crossover step is more for the balls that are on the ground and more for the balls that are in the infield. This is something that I know you're capable of learning, because how many times you go after a ground ball that's just missing, just out of your reach, just don't quite get there. And it's probably because you made your very first step incorrectly. If I'm here and I got to go to my left for a ground ball, what we want you to do is to cross over. Take this leg, cross over. Or if the ball's hit to my right, we want you to cross over. Here's what happens. This is where I'm standing right here. I get a ball hit to my left. First thing that most of you want to do is what's natural, and that is to pick this closest foot up and go to the baseball. See how far I go? I started here, right there. I've gone about 6 inches, 8 inches on my first step. If I do it correctly, if I keep my left foot here and I cross over, look at the difference. Here and here. I've gone that much further in my first step. How many times do you miss a baseball by less than that much, or not quite get there? So this is something you can practice at home. You don't have to be on the baseball field. You just stand there, cross over. Stand there, cross over. Fly ball behind us, drop back, drop back. 2 steps you need to feel. Alright, one last thing that I'm going to give you to your coaches. I'll have you on the field, you can do your drills. We all watch television, we all watch games, we all watch instant replay, we all watch Sports Center, see the balls they just miss in the outfield. As an outfielder, the next time you see a fly ball that they show you over again on slow motion or instant replay, and the guy almost gets there, or he does get there and drops it, look and see if he does one thing wrong, because this is the #1 thing that they do wrong in the big leagues. So I know if they do it wrong up here, by me seeing all these Little League games and Babe Ruth games the last few years, it's the same thing that you kids do wrong. When you go for a baseball, you got to go left, you got to go right, the ball's in the air. Go for the baseball. When you get there, catch it. What many of you want to do is we want to put our glove up too soon. Too soon. If I put every one of you at first base right now, and I said I want everybody to steal second, you'd all do the same thing. Whether you made your first step correctly or not, once you got running, you would run. You would pump both arms, and you would keep going. And the reason for that's very simple. That's the fastest way to run. So if that's the fastest way to run without catching a baseball, it's also the fastest way to run when you're trying to catch a baseball. So what I want you to do, if you're playing the outfield and you have to go for a ball, is I want you to run for it. And when you get there, catch the ball. You won't run and get close to the ball and just keep running, never put your glove up. The big guy upstairs will make you put your glove up. You put your glove up, but don't put it up too early and start running with one arm. That's what I want you to look for on television. You see if they put it up too early and they start running with one arm. First thing that happens is it slows you down. The second thing that happens is it throws you off balance, so your head is bouncing. When your head's bouncing, what happens? The ball's bouncing. Your head's bouncing, that ball's bouncing. And the third thing that happens is, if you do get there, it gives you what we call a hard glove. That's the ball you don't hold on to, because you're already out there, you've lost your rhythm. So we run to the baseball. When we get there, boom, we catch it. All right, don't put your glove up too early. Coaches, you want them to stay right here? Okay, yeah. You'll be on the field.